What's going on, Rovers? Sam here, back at it again for another video. And with another patch about to wrap up, you already know what time it is. It's time for an updated tier list. So let's get right into it. So let's start off with the newest characters on the roster. Phoebe, aka Peeb. I think she is S tier. Obviously, she introduced Spectral Frazzle into the equation. She can applicate it very well. She can also pair well with Spectral Rover to be the damage dealer associated with Spectral Frazzle. I think she's only going to get better. I think ideally she probably wants to be the one applying Spectral Frazzle. I mean, her damage is very solid. Don't get me wrong. You know, my S0 can do about 150k with her burst with 10 stacks of Frazzle on it. But I think if you pair her with a really strong Spectral DPS, which rumors are we might be getting one very soon, I do think she's still very S tier all around. Just a very, really solid character. Also for exploration in non-Redicita regions, Chef's Kiss. I mean, you can do 6 dashes. Her aerial dashes covers a ton of ground. So all in all, I think Peeb is a very, very solid addition to our roster. Moving on to young Brant, our favorite pirate. I think Brant is S tier. I don't think he's on the level of Peeb or maybe Carlotta, who we'll talk about later, but I think he's a really solid character. Finally, Chen Li has a nice fusion sub DPS, main DPS to pair with her. Really fun and quick swap. He has a lot of versatility. He can heal. His shield is pretty robust. Obviously, he does really, really solid damage. So I do think he is firmly in S tier. Obviously, very fun character, like I mentioned. Maybe not the best for Whimpering Waste, but I still think he is a very solid character, really good for TOA. So I would put the 2 newest 5 stars in S tier. Speaking of another character that took a big jump, I am going to give, where are they? Havoc Rover, making first entry in S tier. Now that we have them S6, holy moly, do they do a crap ton of damage. From a free-to-play perspective, if you're struggling with DPSs, build Havoc Rover. Oh my goodness, they do so much damage. I think it's really exciting how effective the main characters are in this game. We'll talk about Spectral Rover in a second, but with how good Havoc Rover is, with how solid Spectral Rover is right now, I'm really curious to see how good Arrow Rover is. So all in all, Havoc Rover right now makes it on the S tier. We alluded to it. Let's talk about Spectro. Now, I could say S, but because I think it's only temporary, I'm going to put a really, really, really strong A tier for Spectral Rover. Obviously, Peeb's best support right now, really the character that applies Spectral Frazzle. I don't think they're the best Spectral Frazzle applicator. I think Peeb herself is better. That's why I think she'll kind of take Spectral Rover's spot once we get a really strong Spectral Razzle, Frazzle, Dazzle DPS. So I could temporarily put Spectral Rover up in S, but I just think holistically, really, really, really solid A tier unit. The King is back. Gion, I think last tier list I had him A because of Whimpering Waste. Firmly back in S. The King of the Dragons, our first 5-star limited character back in S tier. He absolutely dominates in Whimpering Waste. I don't think I would have got full clears without him. He is insane. His AoE is insane. He does struggle, in my opinion, in Tower Adversity. I just think there are characters that are significantly better, which we'll talk about very shortly. But I do think he is firmly back in S tier. Not sure how long it'll last, but for the time being, our guy is back in S tier. Probably my favorite character on the entire roster, Carlotta. I think she is the easiest DPS in the game. You could say that's boring. I don't care. I like characters that do a lot of damage and have simplistic playstyles. If I just want to be brain dead, she is easily the best character in TOA. In my opinion, her single target damage is insanity. Because her single target damage is so good, actually, if the enemies are grouped, she's going to do decent AoE. The problem is, obviously, we know she's not great in Whimpering Waste, but hell, she is, to me, the pinnacle DPS for TOA. She's really fun to use. I think her character design's awesome. So I really recommend this character. I mean, I'm biased, but I think right now she is the pinnacle DPS for TOA. Now, if we talk about holistic DPS, I think Camellia is the best DPS in the game. She's pretty solid for TOA. Obviously, she doesn't do as much single target damage at S0 as someone like Carlotta. But again, similar to Gian, she is so bloody good for Whimpering Waste. She has such good AoE. She even has like a moment. There's like a little moment of grouping. I just think she is probably the most well-rounded DPS in the game currently. So that means she's firmly an S tier. Chen she might be high A tier. I don't give a rat's patootie. I think she's S tier. One of the best design characters in the game. I think she got better with Brant. I still think she has another level to go. But with how well these two balance each other with the quick swap, with the outros, so much fun to play. I don't even have Brant. I'm pissed off. I am saving for Zanny, which if the rumors are true, I'm not going to be happy. But I'm still holding out for young Zanny. But yeah, super, super fun, intricate playstyles. Quick swaps, awesome. Ton of damage really quickly. So I still would put Chen-Li in S tier. I think you could make an argument that she's high A, but hey, I'll be the first to admit I'm biased. Let's move over to Encore. Encore, still really solid character. Because I don't have Brant, I still pair her with Chen-Li. Not the best pairing in the world, but definitely more than capable of clearing most of the content in Tower of Adversity. Not amazing. She's still probably solid A for Whimpering Waste. She has decent AoE. Her forte hold, like the swap, does pretty sizable AoE damage. So Encore, obviously adorable, probably the most adorable character on the roster. Really solid damage. So I would put her in A tier. Let's do Jinshi. Jinshi is still S tier. I prefer Phoebe to her. I would say probably damage-wise, she's probably above Phoebe, but tomato. Spectro looking pretty saucy right now. Jinshi has been one of the strongest DPSs since she got introduced in the game. Hasn't really changed. She is pretty mediocre for Whimpering Waste, but you know, if you have Gian or Camellia, you're gonna be fine. But not my personal favorite DPS. She looks awesome, and I prefer the direction of Spectral Frazzle. I think it's more fun, but she's still undeniably an S tier unit. Mr. Yao. I'm getting a lot of S tier units here. I would still put him in S tier. He does a ton of damage. He definitely has a lot of nuances to his rotations. I would say, like, of the rotations, besides like Brant and Chen-Li, there's a lot more skill expression. Like Carlotta, super, super easy. He definitely has a lot of nuances. And then, you know, with Yinlin, you definitely have to figure out and optimize your rotations. But when you do, it does a ton of damage. I haven't really used him that much ever since I got Carlotta, just because, you know, I was really lucky and got some sequences for her. So she just naturally does more single target damage. But I still think he's a very strong unit. I think his character design is awesome. So all in all, he was free. So all in all, still a really, really, really solid unit. Yinlin, she's A. She's solid. She's probably above Encore. She can do respectable damage herself, but really she's there to boost Mr. Yao and potentially future Electro units. But all in all, good AoE. Outro is really good for, again, Mr. Yao, but she's not amazing. I don't know if I would recommend her unless you were really trying to go into Electro as kind of like your main DPS element, if you will. But all in all, still a really, really solid unit. Shorekeeper, we know. I still think she's the best unit in the game. She's about to get a rerun. I think that was confirmed. No spoilers there. But I think if you don't have her, I do think she is the #1 priority unit. She is in every single best team comp in the game. She gives crit rate. She gives really good healing. She gives crit damage. She looks amazing. She has some grouping. What can't this lady do? So all in all, I do think she is the top tier priority character still in the game. Zhezha is S tier as well. Obviously, best support sub DPS associated with Carlotta. She does really respectable coordinated attack damage, especially with the new coordinated set. I don't use the coordinated set on her personally. I'm not worried about her damage because, like I said, Carlotta has a couple sequences, so she does more than enough damage. But Jeja can do some really, really solid damage with the new coordinated set. So I still have her firmly in S. Rocha, you could argue that because she's really solid in Whimpering Ways, she could be an S because she does have pretty good AoE and grouping. I think because she is kind of a niche character, I mean, she really wants to play with Camellia. I think she's a really solid A, probably top. I definitely would put her above Yin Lin. I think her playstyle is more fun. Her voice lines can get a little obnoxious, but she's adorable. She does respectable damage. She's a really good support, really good grouping. So I think because she is really solid in Whimpering Ways, you could make the argument. I would not shame you at all for putting her in S, but I think the S tier is getting a little bit too robust. And, kudos to Kuro for making all the characters really, really viable, especially bringing back Gion. I mean, most of the time, the first limited character in gacha games gets absolutely power crept into the oblivion. It was kind of looking like it was going that way, but with Whimpering Ways, Gion made a return. So kudos, Kuro, for bringing back Gion and just really having a really solid cast of characters. Farina, she's got to be S. I mean, gee willikers. We haven't gotten another healer to use on like the other sides of Tower of Adversity. She's just, she's number 2 behind Shorekeeper. Really, really solid character. I think last time I might have had her high A. I just think because we haven't gotten a really good support yet, another one, I do think we kind of have to give Verena some credit. She's S, very, very boringly S. I think she's one of the most boring characters to use in the game. But nonetheless, she is very, 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 very solid. Now, a character that I could not tell you how many people told me she should be higher on the tier list, Chishia. I'm not going to go crazy. I will put some respect on her name and put her in B. I do think with Carlotta's signature weapon, I think it's called Last Wish, off the top of my head, does some serious damage. Now, do I think she's near... I just spat. That's really embarrassing. Do I think that she is nearly as good as Brant? No. I think Brant is much more versatile. He heals. He shields. His shield is actually pretty busted and does good damage. But I have seen the numbers. Most of us probably have her S6. I have seen the numbers with Last Wish equipped. She slaps. So I'm not going to go crazy and put her in A, but I do think she is a very viable 4-star DPS character. I don't think her usage is particularly high, but I see you, comment section, roasting me for putting her. I think I had her like C or D last time, so I get it. Senhua. Senhua's cracked, bro. She is so cracked. You don't even need to build her. You don't even need to give her a weapon. She is so flippin' cracked. What else do I need to say? She got a skin. Her skin looks amazing. Her field time is just so small for the boons that she gives your team. I would imagine most of us have her at S6 by now. So the fact that she is a 4-star character, I mean, she doesn't do what Bennett does from Genshin Impact, but I would argue her impact, no pun intended, is just as important for Wuthering Waves as Bennett is for Wuwa. Or sorry, Bennett is for Genshin. Really, really solid character. The fact that she's a 4-star and is so viable, awesome. Keep cooking, Kuro. Another character that I got roasted for having way too low, Lin Yang. Again, not going crazy, but I have changed my tune a little bit. I have seen some pretty insane damage showcases. Again, there is no way that he is on par with Carlotta. Her damage is insane for single target, but if you can master his combos, if you can figure out how to mitigate, the risk of being in the air and, potential knockback, he does some really solid damage, and he does it really, really quickly. You compare him with Sanhua. I've seen it. I'm a changed man. I think he's got some usability. So respect has been put on both him and Chishia's name. Somebody that's not getting a lot of respect, my guy, My guy. Breaks my heart. Breaks my heart that Calcharo is down here. At the beginning of the game, he was my most hyped character. If you can get off all his death messengers, yes. Arguably, maybe. But with how difficult it can be to maximize his dodge or his damage windows, because you have to dodge, you have to not get hit, and every time you dodge, you kind of miss a window of damage. I just don't think you can compare him to other top DPSs in the game. Sephiroth of Wuwa, an amazing character. Maybe they rework him down the road. I don't know. That's just copium. But all in all, Calcharo is a fine character. If you get a bunch of sequences of him and you don't have Yao, sure, give him a whirl. But I just think there's other much more effective DPSs in the game as it currently stands. Tauchi, I think Tauchi is probably the worst character in the game. I mean, she does have some nice assets. That's about it. She is so clunky. I mean, if you don't have Zhezha, technically she's Carlotta's second best support because her outro gives skill damage. But no. No, 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 no. Cannot recommend this character. Lumi, probably right down there with her. Again, a super adorable character, kind of fun to just run around with, but I just do not see this character having a lot of usage or viability both now and in the future. I really don't think she is a highly utilized character whatsoever. So, they're chilling. They're chilling in D. Yoo-hoo! Much like the snack. Actually, Yoo-hoo's the snack. Pretty solid. Underrated. Because she heals, fine. I think you could put her in C. Clunky character. Kind of obnoxious. The gotcha mechanic. I don't like characters that have gotcha mechanics built into her kit, even if you're able to find ways to minimize it. But she's a healer. We don't have a ton of healers in the game on the roster, so whatever. Genshin. B. Fine. Can do solid damage. Obviously, gives liberation damage, which can pair well with characters like Mr. Yao. Can have a nice shield, but just the whole way her forte interacts just is so slow and cumbersome. Just not a character that I recommend. Alto, again, kind of another meh character. What's crazy about Wuwa, we have like a lot of characters are really good, but then there's a handful that are just kind of meh. I just think these characters are kind of meh. Don't get me wrong. I think Alto's a dope looking character. Technically he's got some support capabilities associated with Jian because he gives arrow damage. So if you're in a pinch, sure. But I don't really see how you would ever really use him because Mortefi is probably still S tier. Mortefi is Jian's best support. So because Mortefi is still really good, I don't think Alto really can hold his own, if you will. Let's do Yuanwu. Yuanwu, awesome character. I'm absolutely pissed. He was the first character that I got S6, and he's never gotten off the bench. Can do some pretty decent coordinated damage. So maybe if you don't have Yin Lin, sure, slap him into an Electro team here. I think his sequence 4, if I'm not correct, has is it healing? I think it's one of his sequences is actually kind of useful. I don't think it's healing. It's something else. I'm drawing a blank. Shield. His S4 shields. Sorry about that. So, he's got a little bit of, usability there. But all in all, not a character I think that a ton of people are to invest into. Baizhi, probably a solid B. I mean, she's safely the third best healer in the game. If you don't have Shorekeeper, you're probably using her and Verena. She's solid. She's definitely just kind of like a Natasha from HSR. Just kind of like a solid healer. Doesn't do anything great. But in a pinch, she can keep your team alive. I would imagine most people have her S6 by now. So again, if you're struggling with survivability in the tougher game modes and you don't have Shorekeeper, build her up. I do genuinely think she has, some usability. She's the third best healer in the game. Don't know if that'll be for long, but again, fine. She's fine. She's fine. Yang Yang. Yang Yang started the game pretty solidly, came down, but with Whimpering Waste, I'm not going to put her at A, but I do think she probably sneaks into like the top of B just because, again, really simplistic playstyle, but her grouping is actually pretty solid. So, there's definitely certain team comps and certain situations where I do think she thrives, specifically in Whimpering Waste, TOA, nah. Nah, 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 nah. But Whimpering Waste, I do think she has some viability there. Danjin, I prefer Danjin over Chishia. I just think she's more fun. Chishia probably does a little bit more damage, but again, this is my tier list. Let me know where I screwed up in the comments, as always. But I do think Danjin is much more fun. You can pair her with Havoc Rover, do double Dreamless. Again, that comp continues to do a ton of damage, especially now the Havoc Rover is S6. So Danjin, not the best support for Havoc Rover, but again, if you don't have the best supports for Havoc Rover, in a pinch, what the heck? I think she works. So that's pretty much it, gamers. I think this is my most accurate 2.1 tier list. 2.2 is coming next week. Cantarella is coming. I'm sure she's going to be cracked. I mean, if we're talking about design-wise, she is absolutely S. But we'll see. We'll see what she is. But as always, appreciate y'all. Let me know how bad I screwed up in this tier list, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.